as we tell a story far away from home, so was it as in the narrative of the Israelites, reflecting in Babylon, reflecting during the time of the challenges and exile. There was a deep-seated commitment towards a return for the motherland. So we come again today as we begin these deliberations. We seek reverence for you, because even in the midst of all that we do in this exile story, there is still one common denominator: Liberia. It is from homes, from whence we come, and eventually, at the appointed time, we as a people will once again return. Give us hope, give us peace, give us better understanding, give us love. And even those that mourn, those who are brokenhearted, those who have less hope, give them hope. Those who have hate, give them love. Those who seek tyranny, bring justice to them. We thank you for this gathering, and as we deliberate at these conversations that we have between today and tomorrow, and as we say goodbye to one another to go to our respective places, may Aja continue to grow in the spirit of brotherhood, in the spirit of sisterhood, in the spirit of building a vibrant Liberia, a Liberia that will cater to all, irrespective of where you come from. A Liberia that will engender an agenda that will seek prosperity for all. A Liberia that will restore basic mobility and basic social services for all. A Liberia that will be built in the land of the New Jerusalem, where all who aspire to hope and peace, to justice and equality, to human degradation. Yes, to those who have suffered so long, and those who are brokenhearted, we have everlasting peace. Take us now as we go through these conversations, these deliberations, and the agenda item, that we will do it in the spirit of love, unity, and understanding. And Aja will reign forever. Let the church say amen. Amen.
Reverend Biden. I wanted to say something, but I would not. So we've just had the opening prayer. At this time, we want to invite to the microphone the convention chairman, who also doubles as the president of the Alja Delaware Valley chapter, Mr. Jackson Seaton, who will officially welcome us to these conventions. Mr. Seaton.
Aja, specifically the president of Liberia, Mr. Charles Coffey, and the president of Aja, Mr. Moses D. Sandy, the vice president and other officials of Alja here present, former presidents of the president of Liberia, the Reverend Dr. Swadede, the Reverend Dr. Zeze Bade, our colleagues from Liberia, Mr. Abe Lamo Robinson, Minister J. Wesley Washington, our other esteemed members of Aja who travel from far and near, specifically the most vulnerable Joe Batois, Mr. Joseph Ter, the president of Liberia Public Radio, Mr. Jefferson Swore, and other dignitaries at this program today. Okay, now, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome you officially to our annual convention and to also welcome you in the state of Delaware. For a little bit of history, the state of Delaware is the first state in the Union of the United States. So we pride ourselves, those of us that live in Delaware, as members of the first state. So I want to welcome you to this great state. I hope we will deliberate in the interest of our job. As you can see, Liberia is at a crossroad. Within the next couple of weeks, the country is going to be going to election. And it is every one of us in this room, I hope that the process will be fair, free, and transparent, and that the Liberian people will elect the person who they feel can better lead that country. It's an enormous challenge for the country because this is the first time in the history of Liberia that a sitting president will be transitioning power to another president. And this is the first time in the history of that country that we call Liberia. It's going to happen. So we are carefully monitoring the process. We hope that everything will be okay. So, and besides that, the press in Liberia is facing enormous challenges. It is our responsibility as AJA to do whatever we can to help our colleagues in Liberia so that they can uphold the journalistic profession in Liberia. So again, I want all of us to have an open mind as we discuss and we deliberate in the interest of our job, in the interest of the press in Liberia, and in the interest of democracy in Liberia. So again, I want to thank you and I want to welcome you to this convention. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Seaton. So what we're going to do at this time is do some introduction, and I will appreciate if the introduction to do now is the abbreviated version we did last night. I mean, really abbreviated version. So just call your name and the institutions from whence you come, and that will suffice. So we'll do introductions now, and we'll begin from the first row, and then we'll go to the back. So
hello everyone, my name is Mazola Gizi. I represent Liberian Public Radio.
My name is Moses Sandy, formerly of LBS.
I am Charles Coffey, President of the President of Liberia.
My name is Stanley McGill, formerly of the News newspaper and the United Nations Mission Public Information Office.
Samuel Abu, formerly of Star Radio, former Minister Counselor, Public Affairs, Liberian Embassy, Washington, D.C., formerly of the Liberian Public Radio. Thank you.
My name is Charles Crawford, formerly of the Imperial newspaper.
My name is Stevie Gibson, formerly of the Liberian Broadcasting System, ERBC.
My name is Moses Rayu, formerly of Star Radio, ERBC.
My name is Judo Nukori, Director of News at Prime FM.
G. Francis Toba, one time DC 101.1 FM.
I'm Joe Batua, formerly of the News newspaper, currently media specialist of the News Spinnaker website. Thank you.
My name is Mustafa Juriel, Liberian journalist.
James Sibley, formerly LBS.
Blamo Robinson, formerly LBS, and currently Liberian Telecommunications Authority as Communications Officer.
So I did it. Former Secretary General President and former President of the President of Liberia.
Sibo Mapayan, formerly Liberia Communications Network and Truth FM.
Jay Wesley Washington, formerly of the Inquirer newspaper, currently Assistant Minister of Public Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
I'm Jackson T.S. Seaton, formerly of the Inquirer newspaper.
Good morning. Nakai Awudate Glidden, formerly of the Infinity Corporation, Power F and Power TV.
My name is Lisa Dwa, member of FIJA. Female Journalists Association of Liberia.
Benjamin Z. Carter, former Liberian journalist.
Joe Ted, formerly of Star Radio, now with the newsmedical.com.
Reverend?
I'm sorry.
Good morning. Cesar Potter, a board member of the Delaware chapter of AJA and a former LCN reporter.
My name is Gadi Vani Woodson, formerly of LANA and the Liberia Broadcasting System, and outgoing Secretary General of AJA.
How are you outgoing, my man? Who told you you're outgoing?
Alfonso Jena, ELCM, Radio Veritas, Justice and Peace Commission, Election Commission Chair for AJA for this current elections that hopefully will be held today.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you all for the introduction. So what we're going to do right now is to read and adapt the program, the rest of the program for today, the Work for Our Business session. So if you have your program, please just go through your program quickly. Let's go through it together. So after the reading and adoption of the program, we have a chapter's report from the Minnesota chapter, as well as the Delaware Valley chapter. We have the presentation of the AJA's website by the Vice President. That will be our honor report by the National President. That will be followed by statements from the PUL President, from the Female Journalists Association of Liberia, from the Minister Council of Press and Public Affairs at the MIC of Liberia, Washington, D.C. And then there will be a selection of the Resolutions Committee. After we select the Resolution Committee, we'll have deliberation on critical media and political matters to be led by President Sandy. And the topics we intend to discuss today include, of course, our theme for this year's convention, the rule of law, recipe for stable and peaceful Liberia. We'll also talk about government and media relations or relationship post-election, AJA's challenges, vision, and future. We'll take a break, a lunch break, and then we'll have our second session, which will be the session where we have our elections, and that session will be chaired by the chairman of the Elections Commission. And then we'll select the 2018 convention venue. We'll read and adopt the convention resolution, and we'll have our vote of things by Mr. Samuel Abu, a member of the board of directors of AJA. That's our program outline for today. What I want us to do now is to adapt the program as just read. So I will entertain a motion to adopt the program. Yeah, Charles?
All right. Mr. Moderator, right now on team of second, I move that this agenda for this convention be adopted and form part of our record.
Can I have a second? So second, so it was moved by Mr. Charles Crawford and seconded by Mr. Jackson Seaton that the agenda for our convention deliberation be deliberated as read. So we'll just go right into the chapter report. Unfortunately, and I just heard yesterday that our chapter chairman, when I say our, I come from Minnesota, so Mr. Patrick Kuhlman, who is our chapter chairman, had to cancel at the very last minute. He had already paid for his flight, booked his hotel and everything else, but he had a family emergency for which he had to cancel. So the president asked me, since I'm the only representative from Minnesota who's here, to just do a summary report. So let me just say up front that this is not an official report from the chapter, right? I was not sanctioned by Mr. Kuhlman, but because I live there and I'm executive of the chapter, so I will just do a summary overview of the chapter. So I just wrote something brief and I'll read to you all. It says, I bring you warm greetings on behalf of Mr. Patrick Kuhlman, chairman of the local chapter, Midwest chapter of ALJA, as well as the rest of the officers and members of the chapter. And let me state that this is not a formal statement, as I said earlier. Mr. Kuhlman, the chapter chairman, unfortunately could not be here today because of some family emergency. Because I'm privy to a lot of the information of the chapter, I just want to give an overview of where I think they are and some of the challenges they're currently going through right now. And these are really my candid and personal views reflecting the activities of the chapter. Last year, when we came over to the convention, the chapter set for itself a number of goals. And one of the very ambitious goals it set for itself was to begin a really rigorous membership drive. The goal was to recruit as many members as possible from within Minnesota and the rest of the Midwest, to include Iowa, the Dakotas, and surrounding states. And because we realized that in the Midwest, we do have a substantial number of Liberian journalists residing in those places. And if done right, and that was the goal, you know, the chapter over there could very well be the most vibrant chapter. Unfortunately, that plan did not materialize because of some internal issues within the chapter. And that is something they're still working to achieving during the course of this year. Another goal the chapter set was to host a mini convention. So the goal was to go out there, recruit as many members as possible, and then do a mini convention of all journalists in the Midwest. There were a number of dates set. Those dates kept moving because of other activities that were unfolding at the time. And so the plan has not actualized yet, and I'm sure the leadership of the chapter is still working to bring that to fruition. One of the things the chapter was partly successfully doing was to really start going out in the community, making itself more visible by being active participants in local community and humanitarian efforts. So if different events were taking place, say if the a chapter or county organization were hosting an event that was catering to maybe assisting maybe Sano County in Liberia, the chapter will get involved. So anything of that nature, the chapter will get involved. So that way it is more visible to people in the state. And we think with visibility, we'll attract more members, not necessarily the journalists, but others who see ALJA as doing something that is worth identifying will come and join the chapter. So they've been fairly successful in doing that. Hopefully, like I said, it will be something that will benefit the chapter in the months and years to come. But currently, I think right now the chapter requires, I think, some serious reorientation as far as the leadership is concerned. there has to be a serious infusion of dynamism, a serious infusion of commitment for the chapter to really take that leap to the next level. And so that's what I think the chapter is right now. We have some really wonderful people. Mr. Kume is obviously the acting chairman. Manika Shaw Giddens is our vice chair. Mr. Tanya, who served at one time as President of Public Affairs at the legislative branch, is our Secretary General. Sarah McGee is our Assistant Secretary. Marie Zai is our treasurer. So they have a really good team down in Minnesota, and we can achieve a lot, like I said, given the number of journalists in Minnesota, as long as we continue to hold together and do some really tweaking as far as our leadership is concerned. So again, let me say those are my honest, candid views from Minnesota, and I will now yield to Mr. Jackson Seaton as he comes and present an overview from the Delaware Valley chapter.
Thank you.
You're still writing the report?
Damn.
Again, good morning, everybody. I bring you warm greetings from the Delaware Valley chapter of AJA. As you all know, I am the president of the Delaware Valley chapter of AJA. My vice president is Mr. Pino Besa. My secretary general is Stanley McGill. My treasurer is Liberian Brown. She's not here with us, but I'm sure she's on her way coming. She was at a meet and greet last night. Well, when last year we were elected and we were subsequently inducted into office during the last convention. Upon our induction into office, we embarked on a series of activities, foremost of which is the rebuilding of our membership base. We began to reach out to our former colleagues in the tri-state area, and as a matter of fact, the Delaware Valley chapter includes former Liberian journalists that reside in the state of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. So we embarked upon the process of, getting in touch with all of these fine gentlemen and ladies, to encourage them to come on board so that, we can rebuild the Delaware Valley chapter. We have had a series of meetings, and we have done a series of reach out, and that has paid off. Right now, I can speak to the fact that we have identified and we have recruited about 15 former Liberian journalists that are in the tri-state area who are members of the Delaware Valley chapter. Our goal is to ensure that all of those other journalists who are sitting on the fence, our goal is to encourage them, to reach out to them, so that they can come and be a part of this worthy organization. As you all know, AJA, I would say, is an offspring of the Press Union of Liberia. So that is our goal. And in the meantime, while we are rebuilding our chapter, we were given the mandate to appoint a member from our chapter to serve on the AJA board. We successfully recruited the Reverend Dr. Zeze Ware, and we nominated him to the AJA board. So he's currently the Delaware Valley chapter representative to the AJA board. So we have done that. Also, while we were still rebuilding our chapter, and we are still rebuilding it, we were given the mandate to organize this annual convention. We work again with the national leadership. We plan, and as you can see, we are now executing this convention. I want to give my thanks and appreciation to the national leadership, especially Mr. Moses D. Sandy, who has worked tirelessly with us so that we can have this convention. So, Mr. President, I want to say thank you in this public manner for working with us to also have this convention. In spite of all of these successes, we have enormous challenges. One of the challenges that we face is getting the full commitment of our members to come to regular meetings so that we can, deliberate and make this Delaware Valley chapter second to none. Because prior to the disintegration of AJA several years back, the Delaware Valley chapter was the pillow of AJA. And our goal is to maintain that status, to make the Delaware Valley chapter the pillow of AJA. But we have been facing serious challenges. The lack of cooperation of our members. We call meetings, we reach out, they say we'll come, we go to a meeting, so down, we have about 6, we have about 7, but then we plan another meeting, then the people that were in the previous meeting, they don't show up, new group of people show up. So as a result of this, we have not been able, we need to establish various committees. We need a membership committee, we need Ways and Means committee, and we need our different other committees that will be able to put into place that will be able to work along with the leadership for us to really move this chapter forward. So that's our challenge. But we know it is a challenge, and we are working, doing everything within our power to meet up with those challenges. And one of the things we have started doing is to have what we call regular SIP. Because we Liberians, we know very well that we can easily congregate around food
and drinks.
And it's not only Liberians. Human nature as a whole, we always like to congregate around food and drinks. So we have decided to start having a couple of SIPs. That is, this month, we identify one of our members' residents. We send out the information. We all go there, and then, we eat free food, we buy the drinks, and then, we talk and we reminisce about Liberia, and we discuss how best we can rebuild our chapter. We had the first SIP at our Secretary General house, not the Secretary General, but the Treasurer house. And to have the second one and subsequent one, it has been a little bit of challenge, but we are working towards that. As you all know, AJA was dead more than 10 years. We are just starting to rebuild it. It's going to take time, but it's going to be done. So we are committed to that process, and we will take this message out to our colleagues who are, playing this, the backsliding, lackadaisical attitude towards the organization, the chapter, to continue to encourage them. To reach out to them so that they can come and be a part of us. So we are working in that direction. So, in a nutshell, this report will be formally presented to the national leadership, and this is where we are. We just ask for your patience and your cooperation as we rebuild the Delaware Valley chapter. Thank you very much.
One copy of the report.
Thank you. And the point Sito made too. I'm thinking that Mr. Kume had his report ready, so we'll probably have him forward a formal copy of the report to the leadership. and I expect the Delaware Valley chapter to do the same also. It's important for our record. So the next item that we should be discussing today is the presentation of ALJA's website. Presentation of ALJA's website. We'll really try to get the video guy to project, the website on the screen. Unfortunately, we could not get him to do that. So I will talk about it, but if any of you want to go to it, it's aljaonline.org, as we talked about it. If you have your phones, it's accessible through all platforms, so aljaonline.org. But it's something that we're really proud of as executives of ALJA, the leadership of ALJA. 2 years ago, when we took over, it was one of the things our members asked us to do, and in this 21st century, you can run an effective organization we're all having an effective website. So we started looking in terms of what is it that we want to accomplish with our website. So did a bit of research and see if we can, say, similar organization as ALJA, what is it on their website that is positive? What is it on other website that is not on the website? So it was just researching different websites so that ours can truly represent us and reflect some of the things we want to do. So the first thing we talk about doing, and I don't know about you, but look is a really great thing. And many of you can tell me, say, the first thing that struck you about maybe your wife or your girlfriend, was the way they look, right? So the way they look is one thing that gravitated you towards them. So look is important. So the first thing for me was to develop something that was really graphically stunning, that will grab your attention when you see it. For me, if I went to a website, say if I was not intentionally going to that website, I was just browsing. If it's dull, I would just quickly go by. But if it's stunning, if it captures, my imagination, I will stick around and browse a little bit. So the first thing was for us to get something that was really visually stunning. That was the first thing, and I think we accomplished that. The second thing was content. What is it that we want to put on the website? All of it is all about ALJA. It's ALJA's website, so it has to be all about ALJA. So presenting ALJA in a really holistic way. Who we are, our history, our executive committee, our board of directors, our different chapters in terms of the leadership and the different activities. Our press releases need to be archived so that people go there. Whatever press release ALJA has issued in the past has to be there. You will see those different press releases. Highlights of our convention activities. So when we began the mini convention 3 years ago, up to last year's convention, it has to be reflected on the website. So you go there, you will see those. And one of the things that was really unique about what we did, we not only put in pictures there. So most websites these days, they embed pictures in the website itself, so that when you go in there, you can just flip one picture at a time. What we did with our website was to transpose our picture. So if you went to our website and you went to our convention, if you hit convention, it brings up our Google Photos. So you go into it and you see all the photo comes up at once, which is the way most modern websites are going right now, as opposed to just manual flipping through one picture. So if you go to, say, if you click 2016 convention last year in Philadelphia, it takes you to our Google photo page and brings out all the pictures. You can click on the one you want. It makes it clearer and it brings the picture out a little bit more. That is something we're doing. So we're also posting our souvenir books. So if you went to so maybe after a week or so, if you went there, you see the souvenir book with all our pictures for this year website posted there. The souvenir book from last year website also posted there. And one of the unique things we did in working with our designer was to do something called Flipbook. I don't know many of you know Flipbook. So if you go to the website, you can literally just flip the page that you're reading. So you can flip one page to the other, flip it from front to the back. We did the same for our Constitution. So if you went to our Constitution, you can read the Constitution from page 1 to the last page. So you don't literally need, so what we're trying to do is put as much information on the website without literally having to pass around with papers in your hands. So one of the things I talked about last night, I wanted to know Well, I was talking to the chairman of the Elections Commission. We were going back and forth in terms of how much we needed to pay. Then I remembered, but the information is on the website. So I went on the website, just pulled out the information right away, and I was able to figure out, you know, how much we were able to pay. So I think that's a really, really unique feature on the website. One of the things we also done is put a payment button there, a donate button. So that links to our WhatsApp account. So if you can go right there and you can pay whatever you want to pay, it goes to our account. So you don't have to, you know, walk to the bank. If you don't have to, you know, just enter the credit information and it goes to the bank. Hopefully it helps in terms of when we begin to go out there and scout for donors. You know, those are something we can use. Another unique feature is our membership page. So we created an online membership form. So you can go on there, it's a live form, just fill in your membership information. Once you click send, it comes directly to us, so we know you already filled the membership form. So it helps in terms of updating our membership. You don't have to manually fill in form, which is a hurdle for most people. You don't have to put it in the envelope and put stamp on it and send it all the way to Moses or whoever. You can do that online. Yes.
With respect to that, what if anybody just went to our website and filled up the membership form?
Well, it's a verification process. So you have a telephone number in there. You have all your information in there. We can verify who you are. You know, so we receive the information. If we don't know you at all, I mean, some people obviously we know them, but if we don't know you, we can verify who you are by calling you up and having you provide some basic information that we need. Yeah. So we also have our brochure. And unfortunately, we did copies of the brochure that I should have brought, you know. And I was telling Moses, some things you do and you're really excited about it. You know, I was really, really excited about the brochure. I mean, it's really stunning in terms of the graphic and the beauty. But it's also on the website, so you can also see that when you go on the website. So that's about Alja. So we decided we'd do Alja. So all those contents about Alja are there. And again, like I said, if you went to the website, you noticed there's something we need to change, something we need to improve upon, please let us know. We'll do that. But we're Alja members and we're also journalists. The goal is not just to make this site for Alja members, because we want to appeal to all spectrum, to different categories of people. Again, it's only just Alja information, it probably be only Alja members who will go there. So because we're news people, we decided to do some news too. So we will regularly post news stories on the website. We post features, editorials on the website. And I was telling Mr. Batua the last time that I had a confession to make. So when we designed the opinion page, I was looking for articles to put on there. So I came across an article he had written about, I think it was the anniversary of Marcus Matthews' death, the 7th anniversary of his death. He wrote a really wonderful piece that I saw, so I took it right away. I was like, well, this is an Alja member thing I can use. I'm sure he will not sue me, you know. So I took it and posted it on the website. So those are things we want to do. So if Alja members, you know, has information, you know, Alja members have opinions, editorial, and it doesn't have to be Alja members alone. You know, we go out there, other colleagues, professional colleagues, you know, who, you know, do very good writings, we can be able to use them on our website. So we have Alja news, we have Liberian news, we have war news, top headlines, we have features, opinions, editorials, and those kinds of things. And then the third thing we decided to do was to do advertisement. So you have the hardcore news people go there to the site, Alja members go there, but we know where we live, people do a lot of community events. You know, we got a funeral, a big funeral going on in Delaware. You know, is that something people can post on our page? You know, I know one of the things that TLC is very unique for. People will always put death announcement on TLC. If they don't put death announcement on TLC, then they haven't put it anywhere yet. You know, that's how important TLC is as a news entity. People respect it when it comes to them posting information, because they know people will go there to see, you know, those death announcements. So we wanted to try something similar. So do some advertisement about events in the community, and we make some money in the process. So we also have that. We have a number of different advertisements you see running across the screen, you know, as you flip to the website, so that people will go there if they know about upcoming events, they want to find about upcoming events in the community, in the larger community, they can go to Alja website and click on there and see it. So that is that is what we try to do. And again, like I said, please go on the site, and we're still open to, to correction. We're still open to making improvement, but I think it's something like we're really be proud of in terms of what we've accomplished so far as an organization. Yeah.
Yes, my question to you is that are you thinking about the idea, like, like, for example, if I go to Agile website, I can click a link and then I can go to the executive mansion in the Republic of Liberia and go to their page, right? Are you thinking about linking Agile page with all of the Liberian news outlets that are online?
It's already there. So we got links. So we got ready. We got links.
I mean, well, for example, when I go to Front Page Africa, is there a link from Front Page Africa that can take me to Agile?
Well, we have now discussed with our Front Page Africa people. Say, okay, we're posting your link on our site. Is there a way you can put our link on your site, so that when people go to your site, yeah, that is something we can do. But we got most of the major newspapers. We got the Executive Mansion. We got BBC. We got USCIS, and just a few relevant, links that we use normally. And so yeah, it's something we can talk to the guys about online and say, hey, can you hook up Agile link on your website so that we can go there and see it.
Yeah, as it relates to what the news content in place on the website, I'm thinking about, like, for instance, do we have anything like an editorial gift guide? Because we're talking about the integrity of the institution, but we don't want any journalists just go out there and post a story that does not reflect a good journalism. Yeah, because nowadays we see on the website being owned by media institutions, we see a lot of things that people post over there. Most stories are manipulated and are influenced by politicians. So what would be different from Agile?
Can I please ask you to give the mic because we are live on the radio.
Oh, okay. Yes, sorry. So can you ask the question again, please?
Okay, sorry. My name is Sakai Awodite. My question basically is about the news content being placed on Agile website. And I'm more concerned about the integrity of the institution being protected. Because nowadays, journalism is kind of, sorry to say it's a bad word I'm using, but it's kind of messed up. People doing too many things. Do we have anything like a editorial gateway or like a gift guide to go through all of the stories, to examine, to make sure information that are being placed on our website is true? Because we don't want anybody just coming, maybe if you have a politically motivated story or you receive something from a politician to support him, even if it is not true, you're just taking a trade on Agile website. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So right now, I'm entirely responsible for all the content there. So anything you see there, you're only responsible. But the goal really long term is to have an editorial team. An editorial team that, what we're doing right now, develop the website and then transition it to the editorial team. So hopefully, by the time the convention is over, we would have developed an editorial team that I can just train in terms of, uploading content to the site and just taking over the site entirely, so that we'll do that. I mean, we got really good people here, good writers, good editors, people who've been trained over the years, Agile has them. So hopefully we can rely on the expertise, we had to be able to make sure that the site is, is professionally maintained in terms of the content that go on there. So seriously, we'll do that. Yeah, we will. Let me get to one question, so then we can move on. We have other things to do. Jimmy?
Yeah, I want to know, how do you want to get the story or articles to you guys for publication? I want to know, how do you want to get your story articles to you guys for publication?
So if you went on the website, you see contact us, and you go, you see I just put like a demo editorial page, and you see our email address, agileonline@gmail.com. Send all those information to our email address. It will come to us, and then we'll put it on the page. Yeah, just do that. Jackson, last one, for sure, last one.
Are you thinking about creating an email address, AJA email address for every member of AJA in such a way that, for example, if the national leadership wants to communicate with members through email, they send it to one email, I mean, we have that one domain, then because every one of us got our own AJA email, then we can receive that. Are you thinking about that? Like, that is, I think how to call it, is that the intranet where, you know, we'll have internal communication that link with our website?
Yeah, we have one. Okay, we have one, but the problem there is that it's not linked to the website. I mean, we call that this here. Okay. Yeah, but we have not properly utilized it over the years. So I just hope that, based upon your question, we can try to go back to that.
What project? I will tell it.
Yeah.
Mr. VP, that's the only medium of communication AJA intend to establish. You want me to repeat my question?
Yeah, no, I don't understand it.
Is it the only means of communication, the only medium of communication we intend to establish for AJA? That's what I said.
You mean the website?
Yeah.
Okay,
any other way that we can communicate comprehensively? That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, let me say that. So I didn't add this there, but on the website, you know, this is my age of social media, right? Mm-hmm. On the website, you have links to AJA's Facebook page, you have link to AJA Twitter account, you have link to AJA YouTube page. So on the YouTube page, when you go on the YouTube page, you click on that page, it takes you to our YouTube page, you see all our videos displayed. Because we don't want to cloud the video on the website itself, so we're taking it externally. So you just link to the YouTube page, you know, and you can go there, our whole YouTube page, there you can see that. We got Twitter account, you can go there, and I sent the first tweet out, official first tweet out yesterday, and then like I said, we have our Facebook page too. So we got all those, and the guy said we got the listserv, you know, our different email addresses, so there are a lot of other ways we can use to communicate with each other.
Mine is not a question. I think you've done a great presentation here. Can you just give maybe your email? If anybody has any addition, you know, we sit down here and ask questions the rest of the day, we have to go onto the website. So you go up to the website, find out what you can add onto the website, what we can, you know, whatever contribution that we can do to that website, we can always send an email or just, you know, contact you to have that solved.
I agree with you because time is fast spent. So like I said, it's an email address there. Just contact us via the email address. But share your critique, share your suggestion, you know, and visit the website. By the way, please like our Facebook page. Like our Facebook page. That way, you know, when you liked it, go to the website and then click on the Facebook page. It'll take you there. Like the Facebook page. The more likes we have, the more, you know, people will like it. So thank you so very much. At this time, I just want to just invite the president himself to come up and present the annual report for 2017. The president.
You know, it seems that my vice president was reading from a playbook because he captured almost everything I want to talk about. All right. Mr. Joe Mason, AJA National Vice President. Mr. J. Wesley Washington, Assistant Minister for Press and Public Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Republic of Liberia. Mr. Charles Coffey, President, Press Union of Liberia, PL. The Reverend Suad Dede, former President, PL. Members of the AJA National Board of Directors, Chairman Alfonso Yuna, the members of the AJA Accor Elections Commission, heads and members of the Arja, Delaware Valley, and Midwest chapters, the Arja family, delegates, and representatives of the local Liberian press corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Kindly rise and join me in observing a moment of silence for all fallen journalists the world over, including Liberians. Thank you. Please have your seats. In keeping with the dictates of the Arja Constitution, it is pleasing to stand before this august body today for the delivery of another annual message on the state of affairs of our beloved association after a year of stewardship. This report promises my 2 years tenure as Arja National President. And let me just bring in a little bit of humor. Last evening when we assembled for their meet and greet ceremony, I got a contender. My old friend and brother, Mr. Mustafa Ture, threw his hat into the race. Thank you, Mustafa. As National President, I and other members of the Arja National Administration were elected for a 2-year term on October 17, 2015 in Newcastle, Delaware. And we were elected during the Arja 2015 annual convention. The Arja National Administration comprises Mr. Joel Mason, National Vice President, Mr. Gadio Woodson, National Secretary General, Mr. Calvin Johnson, National Assistant Secretary General, Mrs. Melissa Chie Annan, National Treasurer, and myself. We were elected for a 2-year term. Our mandates then were foster companionship amongst the association members, undertake structural developments, and champion the cause of good governance and press freedom through media development in Liberia. In accordance with the Arja Constitution, our tenure as national officers will technically expire on October 16, 2017. However, because of the change in our convention schedule for this year, the duration of our service expires today, September 16. It means, as of today's date, the tenure for all of the positions at the national level alluded to will expire. To ensure continuity in leadership, I, with the advice and consent of the Arja Executive Committee, nearly 2 weeks ago, appointed a 5-man ad hoc election commission to conduct elections for our national officers. Mr. Alfonso Yunan chairs the Elections Commission. Other members of the commission are Mrs. Akai Awolete Geldins, Mr. James Sibley, Mr. Moaba Duana, and Mr. Wilmer Kayu. The ACO Elections Commission is charged with the responsibility of developing electoral guidelines and the execution of the election. I am pleased to report that since its appointment, the Commission has demonstrated efficacy in meeting the attainment of the stated objectives. In keeping with the Commission's guidelines, the election of officers of the Aja National Administration will be held today, September 16, at this General Assembly. On October 22nd, 2016, the tasks I'm performing now, I also performed similar tasks when we convened in the city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for our association post-crisis second annual national conference. And I would like to take this time on behalf of the Aja family to wholeheartedly welcome all of you to Delaware, simply referred to as the First State. Delaware is called First State because the state was the first of the 13 colonies which participated in the American Revolution. To have ratified the U.S. Constitution on December 7, 1787. And I want to say thanks to all of you for coming. We are profoundly pleased to have you here today, especially our media colleagues who travel from Liberia purposely for this convention. Thank you for honoring our invitations. To our first-time comers, let me also say welcome. We are elated to have you in our midst. Your presence here today means a lot for the attainment of our goals as an organization. To our repeat attendees, I also want to say thank you for keeping Aja alive despite all of the odds. We deeply appreciate the moral and financial support you continue to give us in the pursuit of Aja's missions. Since November 2014, I'm sorry, when Aja was resuscitated after 10 years of dormancy as a result of internal squabble. We always met for our national conventions in October of every year. But this year, we are meeting earlier because of change in schedule due to a national cause. Liberia's 2017 election timetable. Because of the relevance of the October 10, 2017 election and Aja's commitment to the process, we made adjustment in our conference schedule in order to allow local and diaspora-based Liberian journalists who have interest in the coverage of the election to do so without any impediments. And as I deliver this statement, let me just ask you for a moment to digress a little bit. This has to do with bereavement. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we meet today, kindly permit me to go off tangent just for a moment. I am here today with mixed feelings. I am gratified to once again meet and intermingle with media colleagues. I have not met the same for several years. I'm also happy to be here because this gathering provides an opportunity for the establishment and consolidation of professional and personal relationships, otherwise known as networking. However, I am sad. I am indirectly bereaved. Nearly a month ago, my wife's paternal family lost a relative. A distant relative of my wife passed, Mrs. Serino Nono Benson Clark, succumbed to cancer in Delaware. Coincidentally, today is her funeral.
Take courage, Mr. President. Take courage. As a word of the law.
You know, as I speak to you, Nunu's funeral is taking place in Newark, Delaware. As a family member and an eminent figure in the Delaware Liberian community, my absence from Nunu's funeral or final homecoming stands out. It is blatant. However, the prevailing situation is beyond my control. As an organization, we could not postpone or cancel this convention because it was pre-planned several months in advance. Furthermore, the implications for a cancellation or postponement would have been astronomical, even though we sympathize with the situation. Thank you for giving me your ears. Achievements. AJA has evolved. We have come a long way after 10 years of internal rift. We have made significant strides since November 2014, when we collectively took on the challenge to consolidate the unanimity we subsist among members of the America-based Liberian Press Corps and our colleagues in Liberia when we took on the responsibility of giving our association a new persona at home and abroad. We knew that the task ahead will be challenging. But with your continued support and the blessing of our Almighty God, I'm pleased to report that AJA is on a positive trajectory. During the reporting period, 2016-2017, we achieved the following. 1, we secured a non-profit status. We are now a full-fledged non-profit entity that is recognized by the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, of the U.S. government. We have a 501c3 status. Our organization can now begin mobilizing logistical and monetary support for the advancement of journalism in Liberia. AJA now has its own website. The website was officially launched on Thursday of this week. And I want to say thanks very much to our hardworking and dedicated Vice President, Joe Mason, and his team, who worked around the clock for the fruition of this project. Thanks also to all of those who contributed financially and morally to the attainment of this goal. In this public manner, let me say a big thank you to our colleague and friend, Dr. Alexander Ray, or Alex Ray of California State, who contributed $500 towards the project. Dr. Ray is the biggest contributor. So you please give me another round of applause. Thank you. With our own website, AJA will now be able to reach scores of people the world over with its messages and programs. As my Vice President said, we want you to take advantage of the website. All of you here are great writers, communicators. We don't want to run a website that will be dormant. We put so much money into that. Make it active. We will set up an editorial team. People now start lobbying already. Oh, Moses, I can do it. No. We will screen you. And we will screen you, we screen the process, and we look at individuals who are committed, because this is voluntary work. We don't want an editorial team that you have to call in continuously to update. We want you to be strong and effective like the Vice President. So when we put you on our team, we look up to you. Like Akai said, our credibility will be on the line. If you start taking cartoons and putting in all you want to promote a particular candidate, we will remove you. I will use my authority if you really like me. If you really like me, I will remove that person. Yeah. So let's make the best use of it, Wherever you live, we want to hear from Minnesota. We want to hear from California. We want to hear from Massachusetts. We want to hear from Connecticut. Wherever you live in the Americas, take advantage of this website. Tell us about happenings in your community. You all are good communicators, professional journalists. Put your talents to work. Our third achievement as an organization during the reporting period, we were able to fully constitute the AJA National Board of Directors. The board has 3 permanent board members. Mr. Sami Abu, Mr. Volcano Shelton, and Mr. Sibo Mapwanya were elected at the last convention. As per our constitution, they will serve for 3 years before going for re-election. So we needed 2 other charters to give us we needed 2 other board members. So we reached out to the Delaware Valley chapter and the Midwest chapter. The 2 chapters designated 2 fine gentlemen. From the Midwest, we have veteran broadcaster Joe Morris. He represents the Midwest chapter. When you hear Midwest, we're talking about Minnesota. We're talking about Wisconsin. We're talking about Michigan. We're talking about Illinois, North Dakota, South. When you hear about the Delaware Valley, we're talking about New Jersey, Delaware, and Pennsylvania. So from the Midwest, we have Joe Morris. Delaware Valley, we have our career broadcaster, now a trained theologian, Dr. Zizi Pade. Remember, I want to say congratulations for accepting to serve on our board. So the board has been fully constituted, and someone may ask, what is the responsibility of the board of directors? The board is one of the most powerful organs of AJA. It has supervisory authority.
Just say we are your bosses.
The board can tell me, look, Mr. Sandy, you can spend our money. And then we'll have to sit and give justification so they can monitor, they can supervise. However, it doesn't mean that they can overrule. You know, we can talk. So let me be clear on that. Okay. Yeah, constitutionally. So sorry.
What's the time frame?
The annual report, right? Okay. During the reporting period,
As person to be opposite to everything, is that how we win there? Well, you got turn factor. Election commission told everything.
Yes, Mr. Ture, I'm still president.
Right. No, you just told that you relinquish your position as
Mr. Ture, I'm still president, Mr. Ture.
Okay, you're on, Mr. President.
Thank you. All right. One thing that we are also being able to do is that our membership is expanding. When we started this process in 2014, we had less than 50 presidents. Our first meeting was held in January 2015 in Delaware. We pulled together 25 journalists. When we met in October, we were able to put together 50 journalists. Last year when we met, we brought together over 30 journalists. Today you can see that the number we have here, based on the registration we have, we are close to 30. So it means that we are making an impact. In total, over the years, people who have demonstrated interest in what we are doing, who have supported us, we have close to 100 presents. So it means that we are touching hearts. That's very important to take note of. We are not retrogressing, we are moving forward. The PL and AJA relationship, another accomplishment. I want to report to this body that we continue to maintain cordial ties with the PL. As you can see in this room, we have here 4 journalists from Liberia, led by my friend and brother, former co-worker, Mr. Charles Coffey. Mr. Coffey, on behalf of the National Administration, I want to welcome you. Thank you. Mr. Coffey been in the United States a little over 2 weeks now. These people took time off their busy schedule and spent hundreds of dollars to come to the United States. If this thing was fun, they won't come. So it means that we got a good relationship. We continue to work together on media issues. And just before I say that, let me quickly make mention of the other 3 presidents, even though my vice president talked about it earlier. We have Mr. Blamo Robinson, a former Assistant Director General for News and Radio at the Liberian Broadcasting System, who now works for the LTA as Communications Officer. This is Mr. Robinson's second visit. Blamo, you just want to stand up, please? Yeah, we also have here with us a representative of the Female Journalists Association, FIJA, in Liberia, Mrs. Lisa Dan Temen, and our friend and brother from Prime Communications Network, Mr. Jutono Colley, Director of News. Is Mr. Colley here? Okay. And to show that we have a good relationship with our colleagues back home, and even at the level of the government, we are blessed. For the second time, we are blessed to have with us Mr. J. Wesley Washington, a career Liberian journalist in our midst. Welcome, Mr. Minister. Thank you. You're welcome, sir. PL and AJA relationship. As part of our commitment to upholding the principle of press freedom in Liberia, during during the Bureau Honor Review, we took on the Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, Mr. Eugene Nambe. In January of this year, Minister Nambe and some of our local colleagues were in a crisis initiated by the minister. He threatened to dismiss Mr. Emmanuel Kepa of the Liberian Broadcasting System because he claimed that Mr. Kepa granted an interview to a member of the opposition, and this incident occurred at the National Legislature. He rained profanity on Mr. Kepa. He did not stop there. He also rained profanity on Mrs. Estella Liberty of Power FM. We got involved. When we heard about it, we worked closely with the PL. We asked for a public apology, and he did. So we want to say thanks to the minister for heeding our request. That's one of those things that we did in helping to maintain the relationship between us and the PL. And we'll continue to speak on those critical issues. Good governance, another accomplishment under good governance. AJA continues to monitor the political situation in Liberia. with the purpose of ensuring a safe and stable country. During the reporting period, we issued several press releases that stated the association concerned on critical and political matters that obtained in Liberia. For example, our national leadership had fruitful discussion with key players in the ongoing political process in Liberia. We had audiences with Vice President Joseph Boakai, Presidential Hope for Alexander Cummings of the Alternative National Congress, and Senator Joel Howard Taylor, Vice Presidential Hopeful of the Coalition for Democratic Change, CDC. During those meetings, we stated AGIL's unbending position. We said AGIL has no interest in any of the political parties. Our interest is Liberia. We don't support any of the candidates. All we want is a peaceful and stable Liberia. So we are elevating AGIL to a different level. And we will continue to do those things. AGIL also took a stance on the implementation of the Code of Conduct in Liberia. In July of this year, when the Supreme Court ruled against the National Elections Commission, NEC, of Liberia for enforcing Section 5.1 and 5.2 of the Code of Conduct, which requires political appointees who harbor political ambitions to resign 2 years prior to for a appointed position, or 3 years prior to for tenure position. We disagree with the ruling of the Supreme Court. When Harrison Conway and Ambassador Sulante challenged the Supreme Court, challenged the National Elections Commission, the Supreme Court ruled against the NEC on what it claimed to be procedural error. For example, the court argued that Mr. Kokoya, or Chairman Kokoya, single-handedly signed the rejection letters for Mr. Conway and Ambassador Sulante. But one thing the court did not take into consideration is that the act creating the very National Elections Commission designates the chairman as the official spokesman. And guess what? Before the ruling into the Conway and Sulante case, the very Supreme Court upheld a decision taken by the very National Elections Commission when the commission ruled against Assistant Minister Abu Kamara of the Ministry of Posts and Telecom. They upheld it. When Kamara was denied participation in the process, the Supreme Court came to the defense of the Elections Commission. But when it came to Conway and Ambassador Sulante, it became a different ballgame. So at the time, our position was that the Supreme Court decision was more political than legal. It opened a floodgate. We had too many violations. Right after the Supreme Court, the court says you must resign 2 years prior to appointment. 5.1, 5.2, if it is the tenure position, 3 years prior to. But right after the Supreme Court ruling on that Thursday, the following Friday, we had a multiplicity of resignations in government. So the ruling by the Supreme Court undermined the efficacy of the Elections Commission. While it is true that the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of justice in Liberia, we support the Supreme Court, we respect the Supreme Court, but we have the right to our opinion, and we clearly articulated that. Reconciliation as part of our accomplishment. You know, In 2004, we had serious crisis in Aja. And it has rather been a challenge pulling everybody together. Some of the founding members of Aja who are in this room can clearly speak to that. My friend and brother Abraham Masale knows the history well. Mr. Gardia Wusi knows the history well. Mr. Joe Batua knows the history well. Mr. Jackson Seaton knows the history well. Board member Volcano Shelton knows the history well. And we just had too many things happening. So as a result, some people decided to just do away with Aja. And since we took over, some of the guys, we place phone calls to them, they don't return your phone calls. They don't. And they don't want to be bothered. In 2011, we also had another crisis when we went to Atlanta, Georgia for the funeral of a fallen colleague, the late Gabriel Golikajo. Mr. Asset Bantu, a founding member, in fact, the man who conceived the idea for Aja. And I had a little bit of, rough engagement. The rough engagement centered around who would speak at the funeral. You know, when Gabriel passed, we mobilized people from the East Coast. And so when we got to Atlanta, Georgia, all the old hands came around. Oh, Moses, you know, let the senior brother speak. I said, no. The senior brother will not speak. Because I was designated to speak. So, to cut it short, we had two groups. But for the fact that we were dealing with the family and we have prior connections, we prevailed. We spoke at that funeral. And since then, some of our senior brothers decided again to hold back. But I'm happy to report that through the intervention of Mr. Gabriel Williams, Minister Counselor at the Liberian Embassy in Washington, D.C., Mr. Bantu, and the Aja leadership are beginning to open a new page. He should have been here. We have planned for him to be here, for him to be recognized. Because all this thing we're doing today, I have not been for Isaac Bantu, Joe Batua. That's why I was so happy to see Mr. Batua. Look, Mr. Batua, I want to say thank you for coming. Mr. Joseph, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. All of you who work all the years in getting Agile entry, Mr. Abraham Mazali, all the contribution over the year, we want to recognize you guys for giving us an organization that will really stand for press freedom in Liberia, that will put that growth first. We appreciate it. Thank you. So we are opening a new page. It's just because of work schedule and other things that's why Mr. Bantu did not come. But I can assure you the next time we assemble, Mr. Bantu will be in our midst. Thank you. That's one of our significant achievements. Now let's look at some of the challenges, like I said. Aja is a volunteer organization. We fund Aja out of our personal pockets. And when we're having this event, you hear multiplicity of phone calls. I was talking to somebody from Liberia, and let me make you guys laugh a little bit. We sent an invitation to Liberia, and the gentleman called and asked me, who is going to pay for, in fact, it was to the chairman of the Elections Commission. Who's going to pay for the chairman ticket to come and speak to your convention? I said, really? I said, well, unfortunately, we don't have money for that. So the expectation is that we get our money stuck somewhere. We're taking it out of personal pockets because we love Liberia. That's one of the challenges. So, Mr. President, Mr. Robinson and the delegation from Liberia, what I want you guys to do for is that when you go back to Liberia, clearly explain to the people what Aja is about. We don't want no miscommunication. If we send you an invitation, we clearly state in there, look, these are your responsibilities. You say yes, I will do it, right? So we don't want it to be a surprise to you. And this is not to say that we're complaining, but I just trying to get a message across. There is a challenge for us to pull these things out because we go into our personal resources. So I want to say thanks to all of my people here for all the investment made over the year. Very soon we'll start looking to outsiders to help over all the instruments that we have put in place. That's one of our challenges. Another one, our colleagues right in the United States, the issue of fencing. I don't want to be bothered. But as I always tell them is that we are a community. If you don't come and run tomorrow, if something happens, how do you expect us to come and run? 2 years ago, we had a situation, somebody who never associated with Aja had a serious medical procedure. And I looked, my phone rang from Atlanta, Georgia. Somebody called to propose to me, oh, well, you know, talk to your friends so you can raise some money for that person. And my question to the gentleman was, why do I tell these people? This person is right here in America. Never associated. Not even the teleconferences. Do I have the audacity to tell these guys that, look, you need to get this money for this person? It is true that we sympathize with the situation, but we just can't. So that's one of those challenges. Another thing, we get people taxed. People come here, oh, I want to be Secretary General, I want to be President, I want this, I want that. We elect you to offices, and then they don't perform. You call meetings, they don't show up. They assign them tax, they don't do it. But when you do it, then it's so the man wants to do everything. The man is Secretary General, he's Treasurer, he's President, my Vice President. All the tax we just throw on the man. They got full-time commitment, he has family issues. And people sign up, I want to be this, I want to be that. They're signing tax. Look, just send us 2 paragraphs. You call them, then you answer your phone. That's one of those things. So I'm going to appeal to all of you who are here today, that as you come with the intention of contesting for any of the positions here, and I'm not campaigning here, let it come from within. Don't do it for the euphoria. Because you see all the people saying, yeah, yes. And at the end of the day, it becomes an impediment to getting things done. Let it come from within. Dedicate yourself. Unless we do these things, we will not get anything done. We will not. See? Yeah. So, with that said, I'm pleased to report to you that despite all of these little things that we had to juggle with, Aja is on a good foot, or it's on a good footing. The future of this organization is secure, and with your support we can do better. So thank you, Mr. Vice President, for the opportunity. Thank you for listening. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's again, that's one of those things. We were, unfortunately, our treasurer is not here. Just this morning, I got information from my treasurer that she won't be able to be here, and I don't want to be the one making the financial report. And they say, "Oh, he's president, he's this, he's that." So the treasurer is not available. We will, at the end of this convention, yes.
Send anything, Mr. President?
Yes. So, no. So at the end of this convention, like we are always done, we will send you guys a written report that will clearly articulate how much we raised, how much we spend for the entire period. I could not go into finance because you will be the same one asking me questions. Oh, why are you doing this? What? And I just want to respect the separation demarcation of responsibilities. You know, let everybody execute his or her own task. Thank you.
But Mr. President, before you leave, the issue of this kind of nature, I think the treasurer should give you the financial report where you can put it into your finance.
It is I got a text while on my way here.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. I apologize. I sincerely apologize that we cannot give you our financial report.
But who is the assistant financial secretary?
We do not have one.
Thank you. We need one.
You know, let me say this, I apologize that we cannot give you our financial report today because the treasurer is not here, but we have demonstrated for the past 3 years that we are open, we are transparent. The records speak to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can we give the President a round of applause? Thank you. Thank you for that report. We want to have some remarks now, and we'll begin with the representative from the Female Journalists Association of Liberia. This is Lisa Dan Time. Am I pronouncing it right? Temi.
Yeah. Our protocol, sir. First of all, I want to say thank you to AJA for allowing me to be part of this event. And I'm not in a clue with the authority to give an official statement on behalf of Future. But thanks for the partnership. We appreciate your great work and contribution in building the media in Liberia and parts of the world. So the President, Mr. Seni, I say thank you very much for the invitation. And I tell you, I will go back and let Future know what went on here, and we will start from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We want to call now the President of the Press Union of Liberia, Mr. Charles Coffey, to come up and make brief remarks. I know he will speak this evening too, so.
Mr. National President, Vice President, and other officials of AJA, Mr. Chairman, and members of the Board of Directors, Mr. J. Wesley Washington, Assistant Minister of Public Affairs, Minister of Foreign Affairs, my colleagues from Liberia, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you greetings from the Press Union of Liberia, the largest media organization in our country. Continuing our comment, we want to recognize the former president of PUL, Reverend Sua Dede, and other people who serve in our capacity. The PUL is progressing. As we are aware, the current event is of grave concern to the UN. We are playing our watchdog role. Various mechanisms have been put into place to ensure that the media perform a task that is representative as a media organization. So, over 200 media institutions in Liberia, many institutions are coming through. The membership is growing now. We have over 500 membership. If we include some of you now, we'll be talking about 700. Yeah, and so what we did of late to ensure a professional media institution, we have put into place what we call the National Media Council. That council is the one replacing the Grievance and Ethics Committee that we had before. It has a composition of academia, the civil society, religious institutions, and the press. That council probed into ethical breaches and other complaints from the public to ensure that our police perform in conformity with journalistic principles and our ethical standards. Despite of these instruments, we continue to experience some reports that we've been dealing with in line with our ethics. And so we are on course. What is our constraints is training. And many of our professional people who have the expertise left the profession to seek other avenues as required. We have new entrants now in the system, but we still maintain people there who are highly, but there is a need for training. The PUL lacks the resources adequately to address the growing training needs of these young journalists. So we'll be relying on AJA to help in that direction, because the economic situation, especially with journalists in our country, is very difficult. Many of the journalists do not have medical benefit. There's no social security. When some of them are ill, we rely on SOS call, in some instances, to no avail. So we'll be seeking AJA's help or assistance, so we can explore other avenues to establish this medical fund or address the medical needs of our police, especially those medical issues that we need to do abroad. And then those who are also qualified, that can have opportunity to come abroad for further studies, or any other African countries to have the exposure so as to cope with present day's realities. So it's a difficult situation. The economic situation of journalists in our country is appalling. The salaries are not adequate for them to meet other needs. Media owners also do not have the resources to meet the economic situation in our country. That's why the proliferation of radio stations and newspapers. So we believe that AJA can help us in that direction. There's this press freedom, a significant level of press freedom in our country. As you are aware, we have acceded to the Table Mountain Declaration that compelled African leaders to respect media practitioners, repeal defamation laws. We also have this independent commission. It's a commission for freedom of information that gives journalists the opportunity to seek information for public servants in a 30 days grace period. The former president of PUL, Fremont, is now the chairperson of that commission. And so there is the political will. The president, we have prevailed on the president, as part of these achievements, to repeal laws that are impediment to the growth or development of our media activities in the country, which is to decriminalize free speech, to make that a safer. That bill is before the legislature. We met in Buchanan, we had a discussion with the president. I saw that her tenure was going to an end. There was a need that we repeal that law. And she presented that bill to the legislature to decriminalize free speech, making it a civil offense. We talk about sedition, defamation of character against the president. And we are optimistic that the legislature will act on that. If that is done, then of course the total press freedom we talk about is there. Our role now is to ensure high level of professionalism, because the concern of the legislature and other members of the public is about how do we engage in self-regulatory measures. And that's what we need to do, and AJA has a role to play in that process. Another bill before the legislature, has progress been made relatively less than 1 year, is to reinforce the passage of a bill to transform the Liberian broadcasting system to a national public broadcaster. And if it is done, the mandate now will be, it will be answerable to a board of directors rather than the president, and that institution will be non-partisan, independent, credible, and viable entity that will portray the aims, aspirations, and views of the Liberian people void of political interference. So it's still before the legislature, and we have been making progress. So we want to praise all of you for this opportunity. We know AJA, as we are seeing, obviously all of you are members of the President of Liberia. The President is a cradle of the formation of AJA, and many of you who are in the leadership are members of the President. We all work together. We need the help of AJA, because our policemen have high regard for all of you. Most of you are situated We know your performances, we know your actions, your dealings, and your contribution will help us to transform the media landscape of our country in terms of training, people acquiring higher education, capacity building. We do not have laptops. Community radio stations now are making progress. The dissemination of information is across the country. As we speak, the union is engaged with election debates, representative candidates. We have a team now in Lofa. We concluded Monserrate this week because of our anniversary, week after next, and the debate is ongoing. Inviting the candidates, bringing the electors, for them to discuss the platform. How are they going to implement the platform? Most of them are saying they are going to build roads, they're going to build hospitals. We don't know how possible it is, but the question is, how are you going to implement all of these things? The last time we had this presidential debate that all of you monitor, it's our way as media organization to drive and set an agenda of the country. We're going to screen those who want to lead our people. Let us convince the electors of their capability to lead the country. So as media institutions, we are playing our role. And as Moses said, we continue to protect the rights of journalists. Our challenge now is some few media institutions or journalists who are, in most instances, are violating journalistic principles, code of ethics of the union. Sometimes we investigate is due to the lack of training. Some is political manipulation. So the PUL is contemplating on proposing a bill to the legislature that will empower us to license media institution. Because when we suspend your membership or institutional membership, the LTA still maintain you to have the frequency of the Ministry of Information. Then, of course, the level of sanctions we want to institute has limitations. So we are making progress in that direction, and we hope very soon we're going to reach a logical conclusion. But generally, the media is performing a role. We are informing, educating, entertaining, setting the agenda, and making the public to know what those who want to be elected as representatives, president, vice president can do. We have more than 1,000 persons vying for various positions, and there are 75. 73 representative seats, the president, vice president, 75. So those who are vying for these positions must provide a clarity and a clearer picture as how they are going to lead our country. It's a serious situation. We have a role to play. The media can ensure that we have free, fair, and credible elections. If we do not play our social responsibility role, we can bring our country into another situation that will not be good for all of us. But we are trying our best that despite the challenges of reports of ethical breaches, that we are on course, that the media will play a role. There will be free, fair, and transparent elections, and will provide a platform to every candidate the electors will decide. Thank you for this invitation, and have a good day. Yes, sorry. I mean, he's just reminded me, we tried to build the headquarters. Since 1964, we've been renting. We have a land that was acquired predecessors, Pasale time, and we are very in court. And we took over January, we went to court, and that case was resolved. As we speak, we have commenced the construction. The government, through the legislature, has allocated $300,000 United States dollars for the erection of that. So we intend now to decentralize the leadership. We have coordinators across the country. We've been struggling to rent offices. All our intention is to make sure we open up the PUL and let create the condition that people will have interest to join the profession rather than people leaving because of bad practices or people being unprofessional. Thank you, and I wish you well.
Let me say this, I know some of you have questions. There will be a discussion period, and you have an opportunity to ask questions to Mr. Coffey during that period of discussion. Right now, we have scheduled the the Minister Counselor to speak. Unfortunately, he's not here, but the highest ranking government official in our midst is the Assistant Minister of Public Affairs and the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I see he's waving back to me. So, Jay, can you just come say something briefly? You're the highest mayor, so we can. We have to get your respect, sir.
Just say hi.
Yeah, good afternoon to all. Quite frankly, I came in a private capacity. Since I was visiting the country, I just thought to kill some time with all former colleagues, longtime friends. So this weekend was kind of free for me because beginning Monday will be quite busy. Madam President arrives here on Monday. She addresses the UN General Assembly on Tuesday. So we'll be quite busy. So this weekend is kind of relaxed. And since they fell within the time I'll be less busy, I thought we'd just come and share the weekend with you all. But thanks a lot. I will continue to come as long as
you are in government.
Not necessarily. But meeting old colleagues, it builds my spirit. And I'm happy to be here with all of you. And I will continue to serve. Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you, JOS. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So what we want to do is change the protocol a little bit. At this moment, we should be going into deliberations, but because it's well into the afternoon and the food is ready and warm, it's 1:30. We'll take a 30-minute lunch break, reconvene at 2 o'clock, do the deliberations, and then get into elections. So we will now take a break for lunch.
Right now,
So we'll convene the resident committee will come back. Okay. What's up another meeting? Please, my man. I don't mind. Okay. And peaceful Liberia. That will be discussed. Also, as a topic for discussion today will be government and media relationship post-election. And then our final discussion on topic will be Agile's challenges, vision, and future. So I'll call the president of Agile, Mr. Moses Sandy, to lead the discussion. We expect the PUN president to also feature prominently as part of the discussion. There will be, I'm sure a lot of you have questions about the media landscape in Liberia, and Mr. Kobe is well positioned to answer some of these questions here. So if we can bring 2 chairs up here, and I will move this podium from here. Then we'll begin the discussion. Moses, you want to begin?
We chose this theme because what research has shown over the years is that any society that adheres to the rule of law, the society thrives. Take for example, if you are driving down the street, when you have a system that will hold people accountable for wrongdoing, people do the right thing. If, for example, if Aja gives me $5, I get removed, the money refunded, the next person that will come to replace me will not repeat what I did. That's how good societies function. But in the case of Liberia and most countries in Africa, we have the irony. One of the significant challenges we have in Africa, mainly in Liberia, is our failure to adhere to the rule of law. For example, the Code of Conduct. The Liberian government spent so much money on the crafting of that document. It went through a legislative process. At the end of the day, it was declared constitutional in March 2017, specifically. The law was passed into, the bill was passed into law, passed into law and signed by the president. What happened? In July, it became useless out of personal ego, just to satisfy a few group of people. The Code of Conduct is no longer effective in Liberia. When you govern like that, you make people to become hero overnight. You don't reward people who commit crimes or who do the right thing. In our society, we reward people who do the wrong thing. Look in government, most of the guys who committed the heinous crimes in government, in Liberia, are the people in government today. When somebody turns and says, oh, the people investing their money in the country, is that how we're going to rule? As a career social worker or mental health professional, one thing that I have learned is that if you don't punish bad behavior, you set a precedent. And when you set that precedent, then it makes it difficult to govern again. So we are saying as an institution that for Liberia to remain stable, that people will not arrogate laws unto themselves. We should follow the laws of the country. If they give you $5 for a given purpose, you say for that. If someone commits a crime, that person should be held liable. John Molu conducted 61 audits that held public officials liable for public resources. All of those people are walking around Monrovia. Recently, at the Finance Ministry, millions of dollars linked to the Deputy Minister for Debt Management, Collie and the others. You guys are walking around Monrovia. The Liberian Public Institute, LIPA, Institute of Public Administration, LIPA, recently linked to thousands of dollars. All of these cases, nothing going to come out of them because what? Political patronage. The culture of impunity undermines the stability. The Liberian Civil War is a typical example of that. We have heroes in our country because the failure to adhere to the rule of law. So, we are saying that, look, the best way forward is the laws of the country must be respected. We want a strong and independent judiciary in our country. Thank you. Yeah, because, it's final discussion.
All right. Exactly. So, the PUL subscribed to the rule of law, and when a pronouncement was made by the court that the Code of Conduct was constitutional, we issued a release supporting the judicial process. Our thinking is that Liberia is a country of law and not of men. So once somebody is accused, the final place for a resolution is through the court system. We show that the court has to play a role, has to play its role. And our judicial system must be strengthened. There are a lot of cases on the docket of the court. They need to develop. The last time there was a conference at the judiciary, and that resolution was to be published. Well, we're yet to receive that. There are a lot of constraints according to court administrators. But the PUL believes that those challenges can be addressed, and the only way our country can forge ahead is to have a good judicial system, that everyone respect the rule of law. once laws are made and these laws are not enforced, it has the kind of situation that can undermine development and justice system in our country. So all of us are seeking a way out that everyone should respect laws. And it's not only about public officials. I mean, you have various communities, the religious setting, various institutions. We have to overhaul our country. People who occupy these positions, some of them are from churches, from the mosque, you know, from schools. So every Liberian must get involved, because Liberia is a common denominator. If we put into place a system that is perfect, that will serve our interests, it will be the right thing. Because what is happening is that there is a system. See, police, the last time the police launched a program, surveillance and test drivers to expose police who take money from them in a Liberian way to compromise, violations. So the whole process about respecting the law or the rule of law is across the country. But I must admit that progress has been made. Our cases and the court decisions are being provided to the public. People are questioning the ability of some judges. They have a place for redress. The police who have a professional standard unit. And so we are driving somewhere. All we need to do now is to unite efforts, especially those of you on this side, so we can strengthen those areas that we deem to be, you know, limited in addressing some of our concerns. So it's for every Liberian. The people who occupy those positions are Liberians. And we have a greater role to play. Thank you.
Question.
Thank you very much. And Mr. President, you made reference to the violation of the Code of Conduct and the interpretation given by the Supreme Court. But I would like to dwell on the enforcement of traffic laws by the Liberian National Police. I'll give you a scenario. I leave my house 6 o'clock in the morning to avoid the traffic congestion in Broadville. And what I encounter on Topman Boulevard, because in the morning you have a heavy traffic congestion coming from Hinsdale, you have some government officials, some, not all, taking the third lane that can result in a head-on collision. I'm on the right track in that third lane, and you have to get out of the way because they have their blinkers on and their headlights coming at you, and you have to get out of the way. I don't know how what role ADRA can play in making some impact to prevail on the Liberian National Police to enforce the laws to the letter. We have a scenario that some government officials consider themselves to be above the law. When there's a traffic congestion, we in that traffic, you know, until you have the right of way to proceed. That is not happening. Also, some civilians are also found wanting violating the law. You see a long line of cars, you know, congestion, then you taking the third lane, I mean, complete lawlessness. Again, it boils down to the Director General or the Director of Police to enforce the law to the letter. Regarding the interpretation given by the Supreme Court, that I don't want to comment on that. I have a question. How can we reverse that trend that came out of that scenario?
The Supreme Court?
Yes. How can we reverse that trend for the separate branches of government to respect and dispense their respective responsibilities according or consistent with the Constitution? Because if you are listening to the presidential debate, one of the presidential aspirants, Yuri, mentioned the fact that both the legislature and the judicial branch of government, they went wrong. they interfered with each other's responsibilities. But it was a sad occasion because many Liberians, I did a random sampling on that. Many Liberians were expecting a implementation of that code of conduct, so they lectured. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court decision never went that way.
Yeah. No, I want to respond.
I'm very sorry. When it comes to begin with, Mr. Sandy, I'm on the same page with you. Actually, I've documented my impression on that, which I send you a copy to comment on. And it will shortly be coming in the book form. But specifically when it comes to the code of conduct, I need some education on it because I've not been following it to that extent. In the meantime, it appears to me that the code of conduct, based on what the little one that I read on Facebook, it appears to me that it is sought to create a sort of political cap system in Liberia, where certain government officials will be in their positions. They still have access to national resources, finances. Then certain people, certain government officials were barred from a contesting election because of the position that they held. And based on my little knowledge of that, I think it was based on that the Supreme Court came out with a decision. So I need some education on that, because in as much as I'm an advocate of the rule of law, in public policy, when you are formulating public policy and you have to think about the outcome and even the framing, how many people would that affect? If the Speaker of the House, for example, has all those financial privileges and emoluments at his disposal, and he's not resigning before running for position, you say the Minister of Finance must resign if he wants to run for position, you are creating inadvertently a privilege, a situation where certain government officials, have some privileges to themselves until election, while others are denied because of the post they held, they hold. So I want some education on that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Somebody, sorry. I had a question to introduce us. Get our audience. Okay, let me just respond quickly to a few questions, and we can take ours. Look, Mr. Batuai, I am 100% on board with what you said. But the mistake that our people made, I don't know whether it was intentional or not. When the bill was introduced in the House for the creation of the Code of Conduct, the very politicians running around today were all in Monrovia. Some of them, in fact, had representatives in the House of Representatives. And I agree that the Code of Conduct is punitive. It's discriminatory. However, the politicians failed to act. The bill was introduced, it was passed in the House, it went to the Senate concurred, the President of the Republic of Liberia passed sign the bill into law. So what do? Despite all of the negative things associated with this law, the only way we can undo it is to repeal it. Our people did not. So if you did not repeal it, there's no way to go around it. You got to go through the legislative process. You have to go through the legal process to repeal it. Unless you do that, no other thing that you can do to undo what's already done. It's legal. So this is the argument that most Liberians are making. We are not lawyers, most of us, but people with legal minds at the level of the highest court in the land in March 2017 ruled that this law is what? Constitutional. So unless you repeal it, it remains the law of the land.
Repeal or amend.
You can repeal or amend it, yes. Unless you do that through the process of referendum, unless you do that, it is the law of the land. For example, if we choose today that to be able to participate in any of our election, you must be fully registered, and we all sign it because we want to discriminate against guys who are not in good financial standing, and we all agree, oh yes. So anything, Joe, you're going north, and you decide to take the route that goes south, the main thing is like, oh, you just see the light you put over. He's not going to say nothing to you. And because you know what it entails. In Liberia, as we say, and you know, a policeman will come to effect and arrest, and someone will say in Liberian palace, oh my man, that Jack Trump will move the man from here. Really?
Let me just
yeah.
What you're saying.
Yeah.
See, you are on that.
Yes.
Just introduce yourself.
This is Joe Batua. Okay. Just to add to what you're saying, when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor of California,
yes,
he went somewhere and he parked in the wrong place. And the police officer went and dropped a ticket on his car. The news went all over. It is in the U.S. Just imagine the NSA director in Liberia parking his car somewhere on the street, and the police officer dropping a ticket. That police officer is most likely not only to be dismayed, but he or she might end up at the central prison. So in addition to lack of financial resources, the political will is not there. I just want to...
You're absolutely right. We don't have that political will. Yes.
So, yes, to comment on the issue of the Constitution, I mean, the three branches of government. I mean, the Constitution is structured in such a way that each of these branches must have power to perform. So it was a good thing when they introduced a committee to review the Constitution. That committee went across the country, solicited views on Liberians, and they made decisions that could not materialize maybe because of some political reasons. So I think it would be good that in the future we review the Constitution, provisions of the Constitution. Some of these constitutional provisions cannot cope with present day's realities. The country is moving forward with a new dispensation. So each of the branches contesting for power have the power to interpret the laws, have the power to make the law, to enforce the law. There's impeachment power given to the legislature to hold you content. The court also has such power. So there was this power situation over this code of conduct issues because the legislature raised concern and they were contemplating impeaching 3 associate justices of the Supreme Court. There was tension, as you are aware. The international community decided to intervene. OMIL, ECOWAS, and the rest. They are saying we have celebrated over 10 years of peace and we need peaceful transition. I'm not sure that that was a result of the court decision, but as a journalist who the PUL said they held a discussion with us, and our position was that we were focused and subscribed to the rule of law was the best recipe for a peaceful Liberia. The next day, there was a pronouncement. So there we are. I mean, we have to review the Constitution. The Glorious Star Committee proposed us, even though we had some clauses that people have problems with this, making Liberia a Christian nation and other issues. We got some good clauses in that review proposals. That if they were put into law, they will help us to solve some of these problems, and we are faced with it. So there are a lot of problems there. The Constitution is there, and we need to overhaul many things in that Constitution. They are talking about electing superintendents, they're talking about mayors, so that they can have their own power and respect the people rather than the appointed power.
My name is Sibo Mampayan. You know, we heard the saying, he who comes with equity must, first of all, have a clean hands. We have issue right at our backyard. Now, the media landscape in Liberia is growing from, you know, state radio to community radios. But notwithstanding, when it comes to the issue of ethics, morality, and conscience, those are lacking, and I can understand. Notwithstanding, if you desire to pursue this profession, you must do it from a heart of love for the career. So I'm thinking that as an organization, AJA, one of our major pursuits should be to look after our own ones, to see how we can strengthen them, how we can give them all of the support. Now we talk about rule of law. Within our midst, there are guys who will not subscribe to the very principle for which we stand. How do we deal with this issue? And we have these very people going after government officials telling them to do the right thing. So that's one thing I think we should, you know, seriously look at. I was just talking with Big Brother Sam Abu as to how we can put some mechanism into place to address some of these issues. The other thing I want to talk about is, I heard Mr. Coffey, if I heard you right, you trying to, or the president trying to encourage relevant institutions like governmental agency that has oversight responsibility in granting maybe licenses or different permits to radio station or news organization, because some are perceived to have some substandard, you know, operation. Now, what I believe is that, you know, for example, in this state, this country, there is multiplicity of media institutions. Let the public decide. I don't think it's a good idea for PUL to orchestrate or influence policy maker to silence people who want to, you know, come up with different major news agencies simply because we perceive them as being unprofessional. If they are not professional, the public will decide. And I think society will deal with that matter, but if we try to restrain or streamline who should operate or should not operate, then I believe that it's not the right thing to do as media people. Another thing I want to look at quickly before I finish is that as umbrella organization, I think the media should, we actually collaborate with, PUL, and we talk about, different issues of it. Sorry, I almost lost my mind, but let me go back to what I wanted to talk about. Now, the issue of rule of law is very critical. If you look at the Supreme Court decision, sometimes they say, we can't question it. Yes, even though we can't question it, but laws are made for the good of the people. The Constitution provides that dual citizenship has not been accepted in Liberia. We've been fighting with that for years. We have a chairman of the National Elections Commission that had a major allegation of dual citizenship. And I don't know how that investigation went. I don't know how the findings were, but we saw different posting from different media outlets indicating that this man is resident in the state of New Jersey. Some people even posted his information where he had voted. And at the end of the day, he went to the Supreme Court and lamented, and he got scot-free. Right now he's chairman. What is the media doing? How are we digging all this information? How are we passing this information to those who are, media consumers, the listeners, so that they can make an informed decision? These should be our focus. So those are the various points I wanted to make. If you have a comment, I guess you can go ahead.
All right, in the interest of time, gentlemen, I want us to just be as brief as possible to allow a few more people to speak and give their position. We don't have that much time yet, and we're still on the first topic. So if you guys want to just include the second topic in there so that we wrap it up quick. So let's do another 10 minutes on that.
The issue is only the United Nations will sit and discuss, they criticize some of our media institutions. And you don't go away from that. It's true. Some people have no idea, no training to do talk show. They just get on the radio station. Sometimes they open the line. Liberian people, they say Liberian girls, for example, can dance, true or false. and then the caller can even divert the whole topic from such a person. We got good journalists in our country. We got few persons who don't have that methodology. They require training to set an agenda. The first thing you do research and let the topic be interesting. So we got more people there who have training names. That's what the PUA is saying. The lawyers, the profession is very, very much good. You can't be a lawyer, you can't practice if you're not a member of the Bar Association. When people practice as journalists, we have no problem with that. They say you're not members of the union, but when they violate, they arrest them, they run to the PUL, we will advocate for them because our Constitution provides that we seek the rights of every journalist and members of the union. So we need to bring them to check so we can have a professional and responsible media in the country. Thank you.
Let me, quickly, I will take Mr. Ted in the back, and then he will be followed by Mr. Shelton.
I just wanted to support. Just
okay, quickly,
okay.
Let me just buttress then we can wrap it up.
And I think the reason why I told to add to what he said and kind of slightly differ with my colleague is that our society, especially Liberian masses, is not as educated and informed to make that decision when he said that let the masses make that choice. Anything go well with our people. And so here in America, if a woman is being abused and she fails to come forth, the law can come and protect her. And that's what the PUL is trying to do. We want to protect our masses so that what is given to them is sifted well and it's refined to the point where the PUL is not about censorship, but it's about doing the right thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. A stable and peaceful Liberia. And you know, the PEL, ARJA, the Liberian government, we all need to get involved in the process. One of the things that all of you here will agree with me on is that our society is gullible and it's also passive. You know, some of these critical issues, when someone raises it, they say, man wants to bring trouble. Oh, that man a trouble man. But look, we need to speak to them. We need to be clear about these issues. They are very, very clear. In the media, we need people writing editorials, you know, that will support the enforcement of law, that will support the rule of law in Liberia. We were very disappointed when we issued our press release in July regarding the code of conduct. All the major newspapers in Monrovia refused to publish it. From the Africa, never published that press release. The Daily Observer, I spoke to Omar, who happened to be one of us before going to Liberia. 3 times. The first time he said, oh, Moses said, I got it, I will send it, I will publish it anymore. The next day, never. And he kept giving me excuses. Journalists talking about things affecting Liberia. That's who literally died. So it tells you the kind of society we want. I mean, the kind of people we have in ourselves. We ourselves need to get involved. We need to support the process. We need to believe in it. When we write those editorials, our news stories reflecting that. But again, the question that comes is, how many of our journalists in Liberia can afford to do that? That you go to a news conference, you don't have to wait for somebody to say, yeah, gas money. How many of us can do that? Poverty is literally killing the Liberian media. So the only way you can reverse these things is to empower the press economically. Give them training. Give them powerful equipment to function. Other than that, we will train, and we just keep what? Repeating the cycle. People will train and leave. How many of us are willing now to go and sit in the newsroom and earn $200 a month? Of course not. Okay? So,
did you say 200?
200. I'm just being hypothetical here. Yes. Yeah. So, this will help us transition to the next. Yes. Sure.
I want to ask, Jared, in your presentation, you mentioned that the Liberian government gave $300,000. Is that fair?
It's expected.
Yeah, it's in the budget. It's in the budget. The Liberian government made a budget and included the president of Liberia. I don't know if it is feasible in the sense for the government of Liberia to give funding to erect a building for the media institute, to the president of I don't know if it is appropriate, because it will be like the government is going to be like, I don't really know, I don't understand it.
Let me just say something. In fact, this will just help us transition to our next topic: government and media relations. Just a moment. Government and media relations. This is very critical, and for us in ARJA, that we have stated over the years, the relationship between the government and the media is not an adversarial one. We are not enemies. People in government have a responsibility to serve the government. The government and the media have an inseparable relationship. No government succeeds in the absence of a vibrant media. National development and media are inseparable. We tell the stories, we promote the programs. Those things will help attract investors to the country. So for people to think that, oh, because the man is Minister of Information, if he gives a typewriter to ERBC, it means that he's trying to, influence the work of the news department, or the man donates to the PR, he's trying to influence the work of the union, Of course not. So we should, if anything coming from the government, I will allow the president to speak to it. But I think we should look at it in a positive sense too. That we're trying to forge a relationship. The money that is coming is not for any of those guys, a personal pocket, from the taxes of our people. So if they decide to fund the project of the PL does not control news content. Mr. Kofi has no control of the LBS news department. He does not run Front Page Africa. He does not run the Daily Observer. So we should see this guy as partners in progress and do our work professionally. The only thing that is killing us is that we are poor.
I think the difference is that the money given for cattle is different from money through legislation.
Right, thank you.
So we got to get that clear.
No, I don't want to waste time. I think he just nailed it on the head, so I don't respect time. Yeah. You already said it, so I don't want to waste our time.
3 years ago, the persona which you have today, you never had it years ago. With the support of my colleagues, we have given you something which is very, very vital. And I just want to appeal to you to allow us to stay the course for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sandy. Mr. Mason?
Thank you. I think right now we're at a crossroads as an organization. We've made some progress, but I think we still have a lot more to accomplish. And together with the rest of the elected officers, I think we can be able to just take our job in a direction in which it needs to go. So asking for your support. If you, well, hopefully, you know, I'm back there, but I'm really looking forward to the next 2 years. Excited about the prospects of what we can achieve as an organization, knowing that when we leave in the next 2 years, we'll look back and say we've made a difference in our job. People can look back and say when the organization had these officers elected, they made a difference. That's the goal. Just move one step ahead. That's my principle. Make a difference. When you leave, let it be said that, you know, I made it different than the way I made it. So that's ultimately my goal for AJA. So again, I want to tell you thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. Mine is simple. I come to this office with no agenda. The agenda you vote into office today is what I will work to implement. Whatsoever agenda Mr. Sandy's house is what I will vigorously work to support. So I come to the office of the Secretary General with no agenda. Whatever agenda you put in the office is what I expect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, as we said, we'll take one question per candidate, and we'll give the candidates no more than 2 minutes to answer. So one question per candidate. Does anybody have any question for any of the candidates?
I have a question.
All right, so you have a question, you have a question. Anybody else? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, ask the question.
My question is whether the Sandy administration can prove financial accountability to this organization. And secondly, why is it that our friends around the fence are not being, so encouraged to come on board?
Thank you. So
I didn't hear you. The last question I didn't hear.
Can the Sandy administration prove financial accountability? We got time constraints, brother. And we're running the show now, unfortunately. Can the Sandy administration approve financial accountability, and why is it not doing enough to get AJA or former journalists who are on the fence to come to the organization?
You see that? You see that? You see
it.
No, man, why you keep on? Wait, no, we got time for this. Yourself, man. Why you procrastinating? What's the problem?
Mr. Toure.
You procrastinating. You can't be here all day. We gotta go get
Mr. Toure, time.
Mr.
Mr. Toure, I'm responding to your question now.
Mr. Toure, please.
No, but when it meant to
Mr. Toure,
we just told Mr. Seaton to Yeah, please not do that, and we're also asking you not to. Please. Go ahead, sir. Answer the question.
Mr. Toure, just for a point of reflection, I want you to listen keenly. I really want you to get this.
And you have 1 minute, Mr. Sandy.
Yeah, for a point of reflection, when I took over Aja, I never had a bank account. I used my personal bank account. I demonstrated transparency, accountability. When I was elected, we created 2 bank accounts. We have checking and saving. For the past 2 years, we're always giving you written reports. 3 years, I mean. That clearly, will you please listen? It's not about whether you receive it or not. It's not personal. I'm just telling you what we have been able to do and demonstrate over the years. We have clearly given you reports about everything. Sometimes people have to tell me, but Moses, you don't even have to bring the receipts. I'm poor. But one thing that I let you all for, my credibility. I have demonstrated that. There's nobody in Monrovia that would say, when Cindy was at ELBC, he did this. Nobody in America that would say, Cindy has done this. I did it, I can do it, and I will continue to do it. The records are there.
Mr. Kennedy?
You want audit? We'll make it available.
Yeah, I want audit. Mr.
10
seconds.
Yeah,
yes, I want
pay
to
the full money first.
Yes, sir. Mr. Sita and Mr. Toure. Mr. Toure and Mr. Sita.
Don't come and hear Lumen. Talk to him.
Mr. Toure and Sita, you guys are describing the process. You guys are.
What do you want me to say? I'm going to say that.
Moses, I have nothing against you. But I want us to understand that I know Moses is a pragmatic kind of person who likes to work. He wants to see the work done. But moving forward, last year before last already gone, moving forward, I will ask that your leadership do empower people and give them the opportunity to do their work.
Thank you.
I think empowerment does not just come with, here is it, but it comes with trust. It comes with non-micromanagement, and leave them, let them do their work. So moving forward, and you know where I'm coming from with that. Yeah. Moving forward, let's have the committees we put together, empower them, let them do their work, and let them be the man that say, okay, I have the reports, but not you having the reports, you expanding the reports, you be the law and order of everything. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Sunday, one thing I want to credit you for is the communication. I have dozens of texts from you. That is commendable. I just want to ask you this question about what's your own vision, or what you think you can do as AJA's president towards the process of building the headquarters for president. We heard from the press union president here, talking about the building project will be kicking off soon, and our government has legislated some $300,000. So what will be AJA's own role towards the project?
I want to make a comment here regarding empowerment. I'd like to empower people, but I'm somebody, if I trust you with responsibility and you're not stepping up, I can't get it done because what? I don't want it to crumble, especially a volunteer organization like this. The vice president is a living witness. We have to work beyond to get certain things done. We appoint people to committees, we ask them for a report, they come and say, oh, we'll compile the report, you will never see a sentence. How do you do that? Do we all sit by and let it crumble? When it crumbles, who takes the blame? They say it's Sandy, right? So that's why I had to micromanage. I manage people. I said their times. This must be here so time. If it is not there, then you have to answer me. I'm not a perfect being because nobody is. I got my own little flaws. But I take it in good faith, Mr. Besa. Maybe I'm doing it too much this year. I'll sit by and let people demonstrate to me that they can do it. We should have been here 9 o'clock today. We were here before 9 o'clock. My guests and I, we came. And some of us were not here. You expected me to be home waiting?
Mr. President?
Okay, so
5 seconds.
we will do our best to get it going, and, you know, and let's get this thing here going. Really appreciate it. And your question quickly was what? Oh yeah, contribution to the project. Well, you know, this is a new phase we're going to start. I don't want to make big promises, but one thing I can tell my friend and brother Charles Coffin is that with the level of relationship which success between AJA and the PL, I'm sure we're not going to sit by, you know, idly without doing anything while they do that. But I don't want to make a commitment right now. I got too many regulations. The board is there. It's all the message you do. He didn't even talk to us. He's a detective. So the board is there. The other organs of the organization will all sit and talk about it. We'll take it to our colleagues. And whatever they decide, we will make a public pronouncement regarding that. Thank you.
Yeah, it is the last.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. President, and I think you guys have worked extremely well to move the organization to where it is. There is one concern I have, and this concern is usually when we are having convention, we are in the red. And come along with that is, I always hear we have the hall, you know, it's about $3,000. I want to appeal to this administration, when we're securing hall, we should be a little more careful about our expenditure. Because we spend that kind of money just for one night to go and have a meal and dance and spend that kind of money, you know, we have to reconsider that. So I'm just saying this to those who will be hosting hereafter. Thank you.
A very good suggestion, Mr. Sibo. But this is something that's easier said than done. It's very costly to assemble people like this. It's time consuming and it takes resources. We come to these events, some of us, you know, when we make payments on the day of the event, that is what? Self-supported from our pockets, right? So if 10 persons gave $5, that's $50, and we need $100 to do it, then what do? We gotta keep action. As we speak to you now, some people are in the red. Do we throw them out? We said we throw them out, right? So we went after them. So that's the problem. When we start putting some funding resources here and there, we do more. Yeah, you know. So that's the situation we're dealing with. And honestly, securing a place that represents AJA, you can do it for $500. All of you will start throwing profanity at me. The man took our money and when he paid mortgage. You know, I don't want us to do that. Thank you. Yeah.
What's that? Question or comment? Related to what?
Related to due payment. You know, and this is not only unique to our job. The entire Liberian organization that are in the diaspora, you know, and I always like to say that we Liberians, we don't like to pay money. Let's be honest. We want things done, but we don't want to pay for it. So my appeal to this administration is, since we have our website, is there a way that you can put a PayPal link on our website so that you can encourage members, since we will be paying a monthly membership due, every month you go there, you click, you make your little payment for your due. So at the end, when we are coming to this convention, everybody that is coming will have already paid all of their dues, and you understand that we got the money already there for us to be waiting last minute time for people. You know, this is just a suggestion. That's a good
last suggestion.
Mr. President, thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
As I see here, I think we are having representatives from the New England area. I suggest that the new administration please see to it that there is a regional group from the New England, since we have some credible people coming from that side, so we can see how we can get more people coming in next year. That's just a suggestion, because we already have the Midwest, the Eastern Bloc, the Del Valley Bloc, so that would be a very good one for us. Thank you.
Yes. Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, guys. Thanks for all your comments and your contribution. We'll now continue with the election process. So we have 3 candidates who are not being opposed. We've asked them to cast white ballots to complete the process. We hope that these ballots will serve as part of the record of the association for a period of time as stipulated by the Constitution. I will ask one of the members of the Elections Commission, Mrs. Gladen, to read about it.
For the national president, we have Moses Sandy. And it's right here.
Yes.
Congratulations. For the national vice president, we have Mr. Joe Mason. Congratulations.
Did you want to get this for the president?
And lastly, for the National Secretary General, we have Mr. Chas Crawford. Congratulations to everyone, and thank you to everybody for participating.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. I know the positions are purely voluntary. I know you've making a lot of sacrifices. So I want to thank you all for taking up the time and actually dedicating yourselves to helping to move the organization forward. I will now close without thanking my members here who did a wonderful job. It wasn't easy to put together the guidelines, and it certainly wasn't easy for us to make the hard, difficult decisions we made to abide by the guidelines, the rule of law. I know one of the things we discussed earlier was the rule of law. And I'm proud to say that this election commission has laid a foundation, has laid a cornerstone for accountability and the rule of law when it comes to implementing in Liberian community organizations. And I hope we continue to do that. So I want to thank you all for your cooperation. The process was orderly and it was transparent, transparent, legal, and I must say without any conflict. Without conflict, and our union, and it's my hope that our union, our association, will stay together and grow. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know, put it there.